Who is your favorite singer? And as you can see my title of this episode, I am a Swifty, a proud Swifty. I've been a fan of Taylor Swift for 6 years now, and I think this is the very first time for me to talk about Taylor Swift, being a Taylor Swift fan, very openly. And I think I've always wanted to make an episode about her because she really does mean a lot in my life. Not only as a singer, but also she is definitely a provider of inspiration of my life in general. And I believe a lot of people, I believe everyone has that kind of singer that inspires you, gives motivation for you to keep moving on and keep doing what you do. And since this is my very private podcast, I just wanted to talk about my favourite person in the world, which is Taylor Swift. And also, I know more than half of my listeners, maybe like exactly the half, like 50% of my listeners of this podcast are South Koreans. And you guys might know, but even though Taylor Swift is the biggest pop star in the world right now, she doesn't have that fame, that huge, massive fame, as much as in other countries, in South Korea. Well, now she gained a lot of fame in South Korea as well, but compared to what it's like in Western countries and probably in Japan, like, I would say it's very, very trivial, and I just can't believe that she wasn't able to come to Korea for her Eras tour because we didn't have a big stadium as big as it can have those, like, I can't remember the specific number, but we did have a stadium that can have that amount of fans in South Korea, so that was a bit of shame. And besides all that fame, like, I just wanted to emphasize, like, how much of impact that she gave in my life, and she still does. And it's basically, this episode is gonna be me talking and praising about Taylor Swift for, I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and because she means a lot to me, and I genuinely wanted to thank her about what she has done in my life, and also to my fellow South Korean listeners, how, like, give some advice, like, give some recommendations of her songs that, like, she's in Korea, I would say she's quite famous about her songs that were very popular in 2070s, 80s, like, you know, the pop Taylor era, the 1998 and the 1989 and Lover era. But as a fan, I became a Taylor Swift fan since a Folklore album, and even now my favorite album of Folklore and maybe Midnight. And some Swifties say, like, the album Folklore and Willows is her Granny's era, which cracks me up all the time, the name of it, like, Granny's era. But still, it was a huge motivation for me to listen to her song. And the reason for that was the album was Folklore. That was the beginning of me starting to listen to her songs. And still, Folklore is love of my life, and also her Granny era. I just can't stop listening to her Granny era. And honestly, I think I can talk about her album, I can talk about her songs for an hour, but since I don't think I can talk for an hour, in midnight, it is literally midnight right now in South Korea. The exact time that I'm recording right now is midnight, and I just had a medical checkup this morning, so my condition like my condition right now is not the best, so I don't think I can talk for 1 hour about her. But I can. I really can. And I'm so glad I can talk about her openly like this in my podcast right now, because in South Korea, like I said it before, she's not as famous as in other Western countries and other countries. Like, I think it's only Korea that doesn't have that huge fame, like, compared to what it's like in America. And because in South Korea, whenever I say, like, do you know Taylor Swift, then I would say like 90% of South Koreans knows her because she's huge. But again, also 90% of them would say, yeah, I know her because she's super famous, but I hadn't listened to her songs. And I'm like, I'm always like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, where should I begin? Oh my god. You know what it feels like, you know? Like, it feels like, have you ever eaten bread before? And they're like, oh yeah, I have, but like, I only had like white loaf of bread in my life, and that's it. And can you give me some recommendation? I'm like, where should I begin? Because I don't even know the exact number of how many songs that she has written and how many songs that she owns. But since she started her career, like 20 years ago or something, I would say like at least hundreds of them. And as a Swiftie for six years, I think I can recognize most of her songs by listening to it, but I'm not up to a level where, like, if someone plays her song, I don't think I can. I think I'll be able to name the title, like 80% of them, but I can't still name the title of the song the rest of 20%, because there's so many. Like, simply there's so many of the songs that she released, and I think that's the biggest respect that I have about her, is that she never stays in a comfort zone. She's always trying, and she doesn't get scared about being hated or being judged by haters, losers, or I don't know, anyone in the world. Maybe she is scared because she's human beings like us, but like I just have a huge respect about her, not only about herself as a songwriter, but also as a human being. And I think that's why there's so many Swifters out there, and I think that's why she has so much of fame and respect from her fans, and not only with her fans, but from the other people around the world. So yes, this episode is gonna be me just praising Taylor Swift for the whole episode, and I'm very glad that I can talk about her, because who knows, like, she might be like, one day in 100 years she might listen to this podcast. Yes, it sounds really stupid and it sounds like a fairy tale, but you know, who knows? You never know, do you? And I'm releasing this tiny little podcast episode that like very few people listens to, but still, it's released in the internet. She can approach to it, maybe. I'm just talking stupid, but anyway. So in this episode, I wrote in my Notion of the songs that stays in my mind all the time in specific situation in my life whenever it happens, and because life is all about like happenings, all the circumstances, happenings in our lives is very repetitive, isn't it? Like, for example, if you break up with someone, then there's a high chance that it will happen again, because a new beginning, the new like hellos will always end up with goodbyes, the breakups, and because they're all together, isn't it? Like, getting to know someone and saying goodbye to someone, it's all connected. And like I said, it like all the circumstances and what happens in life, it's quite repetitive. And I think what makes her great is that she captures all those humane things, very humane things, into a song and depicts it in such a beautiful way, and makes you resonate it so much just by listening to it and reading the lyrics. Even though I'm not a native English speaker, but just by reading it and feeling the rhythms and the melodies and lyrics at the same time, it makes you like go back to the exact similar situation that happened in your life, and makes you kind of indulge in that moment and just feel what it was like, and maybe to be able to ruminate what had happened and what's gonna happen. And I think it's the way she's doing it is quite similar to being an author, to be an author of a novel. And the biggest reason for me to fall in love with her music is because of lyrics. And as a person who thinks lyrics, when it comes to music, when it comes to listening to music, I believe lyrics has such a huge impact to whether you like the song or not. For me, at least. For me, lyrics are very important. And I think the biggest reason for me to listen to her, to fall in love with her music, was definitely lyrics. And I just loved how she depicted love, falling into love and falling out of love, and tolerating life, coping with life, and ruminating what's been happening, and kind of imagining what's going to happen, and it just feels like I'm reading a diary, very private. Sometimes when I read to her lyrics, I feel like this is the most private thing that I can ever read, like publicly. It is released publicly. It is released worldwide. You can listen to it. You can listen to it as long as there's internet. But still, once you read it, once you listen to it, it feels so private. Like it's so easy to indulge in the situations she went through, and it feels so private yet, but it still has this power to heal from the same situation that she had, because we are both same human being. And just because she's a mega pop star, still the fact that she's a human being, and the fact that she gives an expression that she is also a human being, and is because her songs and her lyrics especially is so authentic. And I think that's why she's so famous, and why there's so many people love her lyrics and her song. So while I was thinking about this episode, I thought of like several songs that pops in my head that moment, and honestly I can think of more, but just by writing the song that just pops in my head just right at the moment was already like more than 10 songs. And I wrote some reasons why I love the song, and there's some lyrics that stays in my mind and always helped me to get through to the situation she was in then. And I just wanted to give some, like motivation and inspiration that I had given by her to you as well, to my listeners as well. And because you know what, because she's such a mega big star, like if a singer is so huge, if that singer is such a, the most popular person in the world, I think it sometimes hides the fact how amazing a songwriter they are. I think it can kind of diffuse how much of a great songwriter, how much of authentic person they are, as a human being, not as a songwriter or pop star. And again, I just want to keep emphasize the fact that it was her authenticity and her lyrics that helped me to get through to the similar situation that she had. And I just wanted to like emphasize that besides her glamorous and beautiful and such a shining person as she is, like besides that shine, besides that glamour, I just love the fact that she doesn't hesitate to be herself as a person, and how she depicts her life through her lens, and just storytelling about her life and what she thinks about the world and what she thinks about life and what she thinks about love. So yeah, well, so I'm just gonna talk through to the songs that I love, and the first one is called You're on Your Own, Kid, and it is honestly the best song that I can think of about, like, by her. And you know what, if you're a big fan, if you're a massive fan of a certain singer, I think a lot of you guys might like agree, but if you're a big, like a massive song singer, a fan of the singer, then your favorite song by that singer changes all the time. And for now, my favorite song by Taylor Swift is You're on Your Own, Kid. And I think for me, I always found it really scary and very lonely about the fact that I will be pretty much alone in my life. And it frightens me about the fact, like, no matter where I am, no matter what kind of situation I am, I'm always going to be on my own. Nobody's going to save me, and I have to go through to all that shit by myself. Again, nobody's going to save me. I'm the only one who's going to save myself, and at the end, I'm always going to be on myself. Like, no matter how much of happy marriage life I have, and no matter how many children I'm going to have, still, nobody can validate my feelings, and nobody can validate my loneliness, my hesitation, my devastation. Nobody can validate that. Nobody can recognize and give reassurance about my feelings, about what's going on in my life, because they're not me, and I'm not them. So I can never 100% resonate with them, and I can't expect them to resonate to my situation 100%, because I wouldn't call that love, you know. I wouldn't want my loved ones to know myself fully. I wouldn't want them to, like, completely resonate with me or completely understand my feelings, because I want them to, like, enjoy their life first and focus on their life first rather than focusing on me, because, well, we're individuals and I respect them as an individual. And I think the true maturity, a true adulting, starts from accepting the fact that you are alone, you're on your own. And it sounds scary and sad, but again, it is a starting point for you to become an adult and to become mature, basically. And it's sad and devastating, but it's beautiful at the same time, because now you finally realize that you've been alone and you're always going to be alone, but that's okay, and you got this. And the way Taylor had depicted that loneliness and being on yourself, her realization that she's always going to be herself, and she always did, and she always had been, really encouraged me to accept that fact and, just keep doing what I'm doing and really trust myself. And I just wanted to read some lyrics by her, which is I'm just gonna read the lyrics from the song, the specific lyrics that resonated with me. And let me start with, I didn't choose this town, I dream of getting out. And I think a lot of people from what you call countryside or outside of the big cities would understand this, would highly resonate with these lyrics. Is that since I'm from Jeju, can be the most isolated place in South Korea. A lot of people from Jeju Island, when they're a teenager, they dream of getting out. Most of them, I would say 90% of teenagers, because an island, a little island, is definitely a bad place for teenagers and 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds to live, because it kind of limits you, doesn't it? It makes you, it limits your perspective, it limits your view about the life and society in general, because Jeju itself is quite distant to a group thinking of South Korea, and I'm sure it happens to a lot of countries that has an island region. It really does. It really feels distant from the group thinking of that country if you live in the isolated island of that country. Well, I hadn't lived in the other island region of a certain country, but actually I want to talk to someone who was born and raised in island region in a certain country, and what they felt like, what they had felt while they're living in their hometown in their teenage years. And well, at least that's what I felt while I was living in Jeju. I am incredibly blessed, and so I feel so lucky about the fact that I was born and raised in Jeju Island, such an amazing place to live as a kid and a teenager. But still, I can't deny the fact that I did dream of getting out of that island, because, well, from the very classic reason that I was an ambitious kid. I was an ambitious kid, and I wanted something big. I wanted to spread out of, I don't know, my dream, whatever that is. I just wanted to dream big, and I wanted to see more diverse people by getting out of the island. And it was such a beautiful feeling when I found out that the biggest pop star in the world felt the exact same while she was living in her hometown. I think it was Texas, where she was born and raised. Don't know. Besides my love of her work, besides my love of her talent, I don't think I know some basic information about her, actually. I don't even know her exact birthday. I know her birthday was in December. It was definitely December. And I know she's American, of course, but except very few information. I know very bare minimum of basic information. Anyways, so yeah, I didn't choose this town, I dream of getting out, and she keeps saying, "You're on your own, kid. You always have been." And now she sings about how much of struggles and how much of pain that she had to go through to become a Taylor Swift, by saying I gave my blood, sweat and tears up for this. I hosted parties and starved my body. God, can I say by a perfect kiss? And again, when you're young and when you kind of still have that fantasy that somebody will someday will come, my prince will come and kiss me and save me, And I think it's a very common fantasy romanticization that many girls can have when they're very young. Like, you might imagine that your Prince Charming will save you by a perfect kiss, right? But now she knows that it is complete fantasy and it really doesn't happen so yeah. And she keeps saying, like, everything you lose is a step you take. Take the moment and taste it. You've got no reason to be afraid. You're on your own, kid. Yeah, you can face this. You're on your own, kid. You always have been. And those lyrics really helped me when I was in Tokyo, when I was facing a new environment, new people, and the new study. Like I really barely knew Japanese when I arrived in Japan, and I was definitely scared about what is going to happen in Japan, because with this like poor language skill, will I able to survive? And like every time I encounter a new circumstances, a new situation, new environment, I always keep listening to this music, You're on Your Own, Kid, and keep reminding myself that there's no, like it says in the lyrics, like it says you've got no reason to be afraid, Sue. You've always been on your own, Sue, and you can face this, and you again, you are on your own, and you always have been. And yeah, it's accepting the fact that you're on my own is scary, but the fact that I've came this far on my own, and I've always been like this in the past, but I finally came here, you know, and it really encouraged me by just listening to that. So anyway, the second song is Marjorie. The title is called Marjorie, and my favorite lyrics in that music piece is that never be too kind, you forget to be clever. Never be too clever, you forget to be kind. And in a world that people wanting girls and women to be kind to people, again, like, I know it is a pressure that a lot of boys will be given, but it's definitely stronger advice, especially to girls rather than boys, I think. And as a girl, as a woman who were raised in Eastern Asian country where it's still quite like patriarchal, I would say, is that you always asked to be kind and nice, not specifically to men, but like people in general. But I think, like it said in the lyrics, when you're too kind, I think it's really easy to forget to be clever, because being kind and being clever simultaneously, it's very, very hard. It's very difficult. And in order to be kind and clever at the same time, it really requires you to be incredibly intelligent. And as a Taylor Swift fan, I always viewed her as a kind and clever person. It sounds like a very simple statement, but it I think is the perfect definition of her as a human being, that she is clever but kind. She is kind but clever, because remaining those two characters at the same time is like immeasurably difficult and hard to sustain. But somehow, in her 20 years of her career, she somehow managed to be clever but kind but clever. And that quote really inspired me in my 20s. And because I'm so obsessed with being kind, not gonna lie, like, I wouldn't let myself to be not kind to people. I think I'll be genuinely disappointed and hate myself if I had to be not kind to someone. Not just because I was educated to be kind. I don't think my parents especially educated me to be kind. I don't think so. I don't think my parents told me to be kind specifically. They just told me how to be, I don't know, polite rather than being kind. But definitely, but again, being kind is definitely the moral standards of when it comes to life for me. But I sometimes regret, I sometimes think back to myself being too kind and kind of lose the important bit of life, like being clever. And again, being clever and kind at the same time requires a huge intelligence, and it's very, very difficult. And I believe people who can be kind and clever at the same time is definitely a dream of my life. They are one of my goals, the people that I want to be. And I know it's gonna be ridiculously hard to be a person like that, but to see a real human figure and to be able to be inspired by the real person who is kind but clever but kind, the real figure like Taylor Swift and her song, really encouraged me that I can be like that, and I can, the fact that maybe I can be like her, looking up to her and having such a huge respect and kind of, I think being fan is like that. It helps you and it encourages you to be a person that you want to be. So, yeah. And thirdly is Fortnite. And honestly, Fortnite helped me with a couple of breakups in my life. It did definitely help me with my several breakups in my life that happened in my life. And because of her lyrics, I keep saying about how amazing her lyrics are, but I really genuinely believe that she is the poet. And I remember that I would keep singing her lyrics of a song Fortnite when I was struggling with breakup, when I was kind of recovering from breakup, which was I love you, it's ruining my life. It sounds so simple, but God, she knows the exact pain that people go through when it comes to breakup, and it's such a simple statement, but still, it touches your heart so much. Yeah, sometimes breakup is like that, isn't it? Acknowledging the fact that loving them is ruining my life, and I'm choosing to not ruin my life. I'm just choosing to let go of it, because if I keep loving them, it will ruin my life. And the fact that she is accepting that being in love with that person is gonna ruin her life, and she's gonna let them go. But it is definitely hard, isn't it? Breakups. And also, she also beautifully depicts about the breakup, which is I hope you're okay, but you're the reason. Yeah, it is. Once you break up with someone, you wish the best for them, but still, you're the reason that I'm in pain. Isn't it? Yeah, I love you, it's ruined my life, and I hope you're okay, but you're the reason. I love you, it's ruined your life. Yeah. That's why I'm breaking up with you. And I hope you're okay. Yes, I wish the best for you. I wish you're happy. I wish you'll be happy in the rest of your life, and I wish the best. But you're the reason that I'm in pain. And also, the next favorite lyrics is all my mornings are Mondays, stuck in the endless February. And I think that also beautifully depicts every mornings that you go through, that you won't go through when you go through a breakup, the mornings are the most heartbreaking moments, isn't it? Like, you realise that there's no one who's gonna call you, who's gonna like say good morning every day. Yeah, mornings are the most painful realization for you to know that, yep, I had broken with him, I had broken with her, you know. So I think that really beautifully depicted how horrible mornings are when you go through a breakup. And he continues, like, I took the miracle move on drug, the effects were temporary. Yes, like, sometimes you feel like, oh, I guess I moved on, and miraculously I moved on by taking a miracle move on drug, whatever that was. Maybe it can be like an exercise or the study or focus, that the huge focus that you've been focusing on, but still the effect is very temporary. It sometimes comes back quite quickly. And also, like, a better man, there's a song called Better Man, and I remember I listened to this song while I was having a crush with someone, and it sounds a bit of arrogant, but when you're in love with someone who clearly doesn't deserve you, but you just can't stop loving them, I think that this song's really, like, explains that feeling, right? You clearly know that this person doesn't deserve you because they're not kind, they're not being nice to, like, they're not being nice to you, they don't appreciate you. And people around you, your friends, will say they don't deserve you, or you should think twice about that guy. But still, you just can't stop loving that person, can you? Because sometimes love is such a drug. And I remember, like, thinking, like, while I was listening to a song which is called Better Man, like, she keeps singing, like, I just wish you're a better man, like, I just wish you a better man than you are right now. And it's very contradictory, like, isn't it? Because you can't love someone as a fixed version, you know? Like, you can't love someone saying, I wish you were like this. Maybe I can love you more if you're like this. And that's impossible. It's clearly impossible. Like, the fact that you want to fix them is already a bad starting point. And it's not how love is going to develop, is it? So, yeah, but still, when you're young, you just fall in love to someone who doesn't deserve you, clearly, but you can't stop loving them, and you can't think objectively, you can't think, like, idyllically as you want to be, because love is not a game, and love makes people stupid, basically. And I remember, like, reading to her lyrics back then, thinking, oh, I just wish him he was a better man than right now. And it sounds really weird and it contradicts, isn't it? Like, you want to love someone, you want to love someone who is another version, and that's already completely wrong. Because you have to love someone as they are. So, because you can't change that person, can you? But, like, when you're young, and by listening to a song, I just remembered myself thinking, God, I would just wish he was a better man. I just wish he was a better man than right now, but I just can't stop loving him, right? So yeah, and next song is called I Can Do It, The Broken Heart, and the lyric goes like, 'cause I'm a real tough kid, I can handle this shit. They say, babe, you gotta fake it till you make it, and I did. Lights, camera, bitch, smile, even when you wanna die. I cry a lot, but I'm so productive, it's not. And I honestly, the first impression of the Tortured Poets Department, the album, wasn't that good to be honest. Like, to be like brutally honest, it wasn't. It took me a while to understand her message of this album, and this album can be one of, like, I already told you that Folklore is love of my life. It was the reason I started to love her, but can be the Tortured Poets Department, can be my second favourite, or can be my future favourite album, because the songs in Tortured Poet Department helped me go through a lot of lonely and dark side of my life, and I Can Do It With a Broken Heart is definitely one of them. It's because I think I'm kind of person who looks really bright on the outside and really playful, bright, and like really jumpy, like really talkative, chatty person. But I think sometimes I go through such a devastation and just like depression while I'm being so bright and smiley all the time on the outside. And there's no way I can compare to Taylor Swift to myself, but it just gave me a huge, I don't know, reassurance that like even her had experienced of being so fake on the outside, being so, you know, like Taylor Swift, the super pop star who has to smile all the time in front of millions of cameras, millions of lights, pretending it's your birthday every day. Such a perfect public figure, being beautiful all the time, but perfect makeup and perfect like clothes and everything. But still, inside of her, she had to keep telling herself that keep smile, bitch, even when you want to die. And she also says like she also said like I cry a lot, but I'm so productive. And that gives me such a courage that she's the person who is able to be productive while she has that broken heart by millions of reasons. And yeah, it really gives me a courage that even with my broken heart, even with this such a devastation and depression and whatever that triggered, that I can be productive like Taylor Swift. I can be productive even with this broken, horribly ripped heart. I can do this, and I can be productive. So yeah, this song definitely helped me while I was struggling with like job, when I wasn't able to get the job for 8 months in Seoul, and like when I was going through breakups, when I was going through like personal devastation. It really helped me a lot. And I just kept on thinking, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this with this broken heart, I can do this, I can be productive like Taylor, you know. And also the next song is called Tolerate It, and I think this, like, the way she depicts breakups and the way how she felt when she was like having one-sided love and being a woman who desperately wants to be loved by someone she loves so much, but clearly he is never going to be, it really definitely helped me a lot to go through that devastation of loving someone, even though they are your lover, like technically they are your lover, but still they're not giving the love that you want, you know. It's not reciprocated at all, obviously. But on the outside, you can't say anything because technically you guys are together, but you can clearly feel and know that he's not loving you back as the way you deserve, as the way you love them. And you innately know that it's not going to change. It's not going to change unless you break up with them. Because I believe if somebody is not reciprocating the love that you gave them, if that person is not loving you enough, I believe there is a very, very, very few chance that they will give you the amount of love that you wanted again, or like by I don't know, by magic. I believe it's very, very impossible for them to go back to the honeymoon phase, or to be the person that you want them to be, which is to fully love and fully support them as you want them to do, as they want them to. And I think Taylor beautifully explained and depicted, like a novel, about that feeling, to love someone who doesn't reciprocate your love, and that hopelessness was so devastating and so depressive while I was listening to this song, and I was definitely able to resonate to that feeling, because like it really does depict the one-sided love that a lot of people had experienced, and loving someone who doesn't reciprocate you, but you can't say anything to them because you're so afraid of being seen as desperate or obsessive by someone who is, like, on the outside technically your lover, your boyfriend or girlfriend. And like the lyric goes like, there'll be and the lyric goes like, I know my love should be celebrated, but you tolerate it, right? Like, love should be celebrated. I should be celebrated by the fact that I love you, but I can clearly see that you're tolerating it. You're not expressing it. You don't even know it, and you don't want to admit the fact that you're so much loved by myself, by this woman, but you're tolerating the love that I'm giving you. And it says, I take your indiscretions all in good fun. Like, I'm taking in all your bad behaviors, all your bad intentions, being mean and not giving the love and support that I deserve by you. I'm just taking it in, and I'm just tolerating it, and in a good fun. I'm just pretending that things are all good. I'm pretending that at least he's my boyfriend, at least she's my girlfriend, at least, like, we're together. You're just avoiding the fact, don't you? And he says, and the other lyric says, I made you my temple, my mural, my sky. Now I'm now begging for footnotes in the story of your life. And yeah, the lyric in that lyrics, the devastation and sadness, the hopelessness, and you're just kind of waiting for the moment that you'll be, like, crushed, don't know, to be dumped by that person that you once loved so madly, but now it's on the verge of the ending of the relationship because that person that you are madly in love is not celebrating your love. Rather, they are tolerating it. And it is so devastating and so, so sad whenever I listen to the song, because I think a lot of women have experienced this kind of love. They say that those relationships where women love the guy more than the guy loves her doesn't end well, and I kind of agree 100% to that opinion. I'm not saying it is impossible, but yeah, it makes sense. And whenever I listen to it, it just reminds me of that past. And again, it's not, you know what? It's not a good idea to ruminate the bad past, but still, I think a good song makes you. I think the definition of a good song is that it reminds of your past so clearly that almost makes you want to cry or makes you want to get deliberately depressed, because you just want to like completely indulge in that music because it's so good, because it reminds you of the past, whether it was good or bad. And again, it's not a good idea to ruminate and like think too much about your past, but I believe some past matter. Like, yes, like we should like concentrate on present rather than the past, but sometimes because we're human beings, and I think one of the downsides of getting old is that your past is getting longer. Right? Like, the reason like the elderly can't stop talking about the stuff 50 years ago or 60 years ago is because their past is so long, right? If there's a grandma who is like 76, then she has 76 years of the past that she can talk about, and compared to a teenager who is 14, who only has 14 years of past, and maybe half of them they can't even remember because they were too young. And sometimes like past does matter, and remembering and ruminating the past that is definitely a very human thing to do, and there's nothing, and it's not a good idea to say it's bad, because again, we're human beings and some pasts matter, and thinking about that past definitely gives a lesson, and definitely reminds you that you had grown up. So, yeah, that's what I felt. So I will write down the lyrics that I just said to you in this episode in the description below, and I highly recommend you to listen to the song that I recommended. And again, I think I'm so blessed to be a fan of Taylor Swift, and I'm just so looking forward to, the reason that I want to keep living and want to like tolerate the all shit happens to me in my life, or I don't know, like one of the reasons that motivates me to keep living and move on is because there are singers out there in the world that makes me look forward to their future albums, their future songs that they're gonna release in the future, Like, you've got to keep living in order to listen to their future albums and their future songs. And I just believe that it's such a beautiful feeling that you can have as a fan of a specific singer. And I know that I am one of those millions and billions of fans around the world of Taylor Swift, but I just wanna like privately I know it's a tiny podcast, but like I just wanted to openly globally say that I by you Taylor, like you gave me a motivation for me to like keep going with my stuff and keep living, because unless I keep living, like I won't be able to listen to your future songs that you're going to release in 10 years, 20 years or 30 years. I genuinely wish that she will keep singing until she turned 80 or something. I really want her to keep singing until possibly she can, right? Like the Joyong-pil, the singer that I referred a few episodes ago, the male singer in the legendary male singer in South Korea that every 50s or 60s loves, and he still does concerts for like 2 hours and 3 hours while he's already in his 70s. He has 20 albums, and excluding the EPs or singles, he has the 20th album released like a few years ago, and he's in 70s, and I wish Taylor to be like that, right? Like singing with the 4 kids, something like that. And yeah, she really is one of the motivation for me to keep living. So in order for me to listen to her future songs. And again, I highly recommend for you to listen to her songs that I recommended. And songs that I recommended in this episodes are not, they're not one of those like regular popular songs that billions of people knows already, but I just want more attention. It deserves more attention. I mean, it already has, because it's every song by Taylor Swift has already received so much attention and love by billions of people, but still, especially to Koreans, she really deserves more like attention and respect, not only as a pop star, but also an amazing writer of a lyric, an amazing person that she is, a storyteller. So yeah. So I knew this episode is gonna be long, but it's already a 1 hour. Now it proves how much of love that I about her. So yeah. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Already had a wonderful week this week. So we can see each other next week. Okay? Bye.